Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of The Ordinary Critics. Today we will be reviewing Solo, a Star Wars... Hello everyone, I am Isaac.
And I'm Carlos, and we're just two ordinary guys reviewing extraordinary movies.
And welcome back, Carlos.
I'm back, baby!
Thank God. So now you don't just get to listen to me anymore, you get to listen to him too.
The comedy is back.
The comedy's back.
That's right.
The banter's back. So these will be much more enjoyable from now on.
And also much longer. Hope you're ready.
So get ready! Alright, we are reviewing Solo, a Star Wars story today, and I was excited to watch this movie.
I was very excited too. It was amazing on the screen.
On the screen. So for those
no, it was great. Honestly, it was great.
It was good. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was definitely fun.
So for all of you that don't know, it is the origin tale of how Han Solo became to be where we find out who he is in A New Hope.
Yeah.
That was the weirdest sentence structure I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, so basically, Han Solo, this awesome character, how he came to be, which we're all very curious, I have to say.
Because it doesn't really... There are comments in the movies.
You hear snippets.
Here and there from the original trilogy and from the new trilogy that came out. So you hear snippets here and there. So it was nice to kind of get his whole story and how he became to be.
Yeah.
From now on, there will be spoilers for the movie and potential other Star Wars stuff. So if you haven't seen that,
this is the moment to just like...
You're way behind.
Yeah, well, first of all, yeah. You have had years, 30 years, 40 years
30 years, yeah, so get on that. We'll give you some time. So we're going to jump right in 3, 2, 1, let's go. So, the plot. So we're going to try something new with the plot today. We're going to talk about the main points of the plot instead of giving you the entire thing because we know that you've already watched it.
We trust you watched it already if you're, like, seeing us from here on.
Right. So we're just going to hit some major plot points and tell our thoughts about it and what we got. So...
Starting with what the movie's about.
Yes.
Han Solo, how he came to be, how he got all his things. It's starting with his name,
yes,
which was one of the best parts of the movie.
Right.
One of the coolest parts of the movie when you're just like he just doesn't have a family while he's giving his name.
Right. He's trying to escape Corellia, escape from these like crime lords that he's been stealing for. So he bribes this officer to get through and gets split up with his love, Qi'Ra. So he gets through, but she gets taken behind. And it's probably one of the most dramatic parts of the thing.
Yeah, because you're really rooting for them. They look very cute together, and they looks like a very young Romeo and Juliet, if you will. Anyway.
So, God, I missed you.
So they get split up.
So they get split up, and so he gets in, and he's joining the Imperial fleet.
Yeah, the Imperial fleet.
The academy, because he wants to become a pilot so he can fly back and save Qi'Ra. So the guy who's checking him in is like, hey, so what's your name? He goes, Han. Okay, what's
family?
What's your last name? Family name? And he goes, I don't have any family. So the guy's like, Solo. And thank God, because it could have been like...
So imagine like...
On your own.
Han no family. Han orphan.
Han alone. Yeah.
And like all of a sudden we have an Annie the musical in our hands. It's like Han...
Which, as you all know from our last episode, Deadpool 2, I despise that musical, so thank you for bringing it up again. So we found out how he got his name of Solo. It wasn't like his parents weren't the Solos. He just was literally given the name Solo. And as we know, in episode, 8?
Yes.
7.
Ben?
With Ben Solo.
Ben Solo.
Ben Solo.
Yeah.
So he ends up passing that name off to Kylo Ren. So it's kind of like he just owned it. He took this name that this random Imperial officer gave him and ran with it.
That's his new identity. That's
literally
from now on.
Yeah, so
which is kind of cool.
He passes that down. We find out how he gets his blaster. Which
Beckett gives it to him when he pulls apart he pulls apart a gun.
Yeah, like a rifle, and takes the barrel off and just kind of shrinks it down and is like, here you go, kid. Yeah. And you're just like, oh.
So that's a trademark blaster. There we go.
Yeah, okay, cool.
The other thing is how he met Chewie.
We find out how he meets Chewie.
Yeah, which we heard the tale how they met when Chewie was a slave.
And he freed him.
Yeah, but now we actually see this beast of a muddy up Chewbacca who ends up
like
looking
7 feet tall, and you're just like,
yeah,
what?
He's terrifying, to be honest.
Terrible.
Oh, and you see like the fight, how they end up becoming friends, which is hilariously by him Solo actually speaking Wookiee, the way we have never heard him like talk before.
Right. And so and then Chewbacca is kind of taken aback by this, and so they befriend each other very quickly after that moment, and his Solo's Wookiee is so bad.
Yeah.
It's like I just know a little, okay?
Yeah,
like,
I know a little.
Just do this and we'll get out of here. And then another one of the most iconic things is we find out how he gets the Millennium Falcon. Lando was the original owner of the Millennium Falcon. The rumor is that Han won it in a game of Sabacc, which they play the game and then Lando wins. So you're like, wait, is this whole story a lie?
That moment, my mind was blown. I was like, has Han been lying this whole time about winning?
Winning in a card game.
In a card game.
The fastest ship in the galaxy in a card game. And then you find out later in the movie, after like basically the post-credits kind of, that he finds Lando again. Lando still has the Falcon. Han finds him and challenges him again.
But now he knows that he's cheating because he sees the device. And
he grabs his hand and pulls him in and like gives him this big hug and takes his like cheater card away from him. So then when Lando goes to click it to get the card, he's just like,
nothing there, baby. Nothing.
And I'm pretty sure Han says like, oh, you got everything you need there? You good? You good? No? Okay.
Because you could have won if you had this
card.
This card.
Throws it down, so he ends up winning the Falcon, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. So we see, throughout the whole entire movie, we see how Han acquires his things and becomes Han Solo.
Becomes Han Solo, yeah.
Which is really cool. Another big plot point in the movie that you've heard throughout all of the Star Wars lore is the infamous Kessel Run.
And that he makes it in 12 parsecs.
When normally it takes 20 parsecs. So, for all of you that don't know, a parsec is actually a distance in space, not a time measurement. So, this confused me for a very long time because I was like, oh great, he did it in 12 seconds as opposed to 20. Whereas, no, it's like 12 miles as opposed to 20 miles. And so you're like, oh, once you figure that out, you're like, oh, he just took a shortcut. Which the shortcut is through this maelstrom that has like a black hole in the middle of it and this giant like octopus type creature through it too. You want to elaborate on the Kessel Run?
It's cool. No, I mean, like, so there's this epic, like, the epic mission that we keep hearing about, and then all of a sudden you see how it actually happens and how high the stakes are behind it, because I don't think it's ever mentioned that, the ship is going to explode with, I don't know how many pounds of coaxium.
Right, which is like this hyperdrive fuel that is very rare and very valuable in the galaxy, but they got it like unrefined from this mining colony. And so they have to get it to this refinery before it all like gets down to a certain temperature and explodes.
Yeah. Before it gets what is it like unbalanced or
unstable.
Before it gets unstable. Basically, it's like a nuclear reactor, like mini nuclear reactors. And you don't want them to go unstable.
In the Falcon. Right. So so there was a little bit of a suspense in there, but from the lore and from the other movies, we all know how it ends, and we know he makes it.
Yeah, so they tried to make it like, oh no, it's
like,
not gonna
forget about
work.
that for a second. We're gonna let like tunnel vision on this part right here in the movie, and it's like, but
no, we know they survive. We know he does it in 12 parsecs. We know
what happens.
Yeah.
So they tried to like we said, they tried to bump up the stakes and tried to be like,
ooh, are they gonna die?
Are they gonna do it? What's gonna happen? Yeah. But then like the Star Wars geeks in the room were like,
we know.
This is fun. Can we just move on?
Yeah, you're trying really hard
really hard,
but it's not working. Thank you.
So another key plot point in this whole thing is his relationship with Beckett. As we mentioned before, Beckett gave him his blaster, the iconic blaster, and he's he's part of this like group of. They're not mercenaries. Smugglers, pirates, thieves.
They just get stuff. They are what Han becomes.
Yeah, Han.
Han. I'm sorry, Han? Han.
Which is also, that's another thing that happens in the movie, because Lando calls him Han, and he goes, no, it's Han.
There you go. We
He
just
goes-
had a real
he goes-
live version of that
he
going
goes-
on right
he goes-
now.
And Lando's like, okay, great, I don't care. So it's funny, they finally, because that's been a debate for a very, very long time, of like, what, is it Han or is it Han? And they squashed that, so.
Han.
It's Han.
So Beckett ends
Yes.
up back to Beckett.
Back to Beckett.
So he meets these outlaws basically.
Yeah.
And they're trying to like infiltrate the empire, the troops. What are they trying to get at that station?
They're just trying to get a ship.
Yeah, okay, so they're trying to get a ship, and he ends up meeting these group of outlaws that he ends up, like, him and Chewie end up running away with them. That's how he ends up as a deserter from the Empire.
Yep.
And they end up becoming, like, his mentors, specifically, more so Beckett. Ends up teaching him, like, this is the way you move in this environment with these people.
Right, and don't trust anybody and stick to the job and literally do the job because that's how we get paid. Like, yeah, the guy might have just gotten shot next to you, but you need to finish the job because that's very important. So their relationship was really interesting because he mentored him, but then there were moments where he's like, nope, you're on your own, and would like just walk away. And so in the plot twist of the entire movie, they have this plan. They got the coaxium refined, and he's going to take it to Dryden Voss, who's this crime lord, who they're doing the job for essentially. And they give it to Dryden, and Dryden's like, "Oh, this is really good. Like, wow, you got it really, really close to the actual thing." And Han's like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "No, my informant told me about your entire plan." And he's like, "Qi'Ra." Because Qi'Ra's there.
Yeah, you
and
think
Kira's
it's
like,
Qi'Ra.
no. And then Beckett shows up and is like, "Nah, kid, it's me. I told you not to trust anyone." And you're like, in true like Woody Harrelson fashion, of course he's the bad guy. Takes the twist, and of course he's the bad guy. So he ends up stealing the coaxium for himself after, because he's the only one who has a blaster in the room because he kills the other two guards.
Yeah.
And he takes it and drags Chewie along with him. And then a bunch of fighting happens, and then you get the showdown. Han follows him, and you have the showdown between Beckett and Han. And in true Han fashion,
Han shoots first.
he shoots first. Like, Beckett pulls a gun on him, and you just see Beckett get shot, and you're just like,
well, there you go.
Okay, this is where it all began. This is where he got his quick trigger. Sorry, Greedo. Rest in peace. But yeah, so that relationship was interesting and went throughout the entire movie of this mentorship role, but then one-off, just
that's all Beckett needed to do, and
teach him how to be a smuggler and teach him how to be this
smuggler. That's the word we were looking for.
Smuggler. There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you. So his relationship was important, but it served its purpose in the entire thing, which is cool too.
Yeah, and also he lived to his true nature, like Beckett lives to his true nature until the very end. The other big thing that happened was Qi'Ra, this new character introduced into this Star Wars universe that we have never heard about.
Yes.
And ends up being Solo's love interest.
Yes.
And I enjoyed her character, to be honest.
Yeah, she was fun. And played by Emilia Clarke, and she can do no wrong in my eyes.
For me, that was a very classic love story. Like, they're parted, then they meet again someplace unexpected. I think they were a little vague with her.
Yeah, her whole backstory is just kind of... Okay, so we see her in the beginning with Han. They're trying to escape Corellia together. He escapes, she does not, and then 3 years later... Han is helping Beckett with the whole mission, and then goes to
report to Dryden
Voss, and then Kira's on this fancy yacht and
looking all beautiful and sexy.
Right, and Han's like,
"You look beautiful and sexy."
Oh. Han is still that's been his will to live for the past 3 years is, hey, I'm doing this so I can get a ship so I can go back to Corellia and save her. But then finds her there, and he does not know what to do. He's like, "Where have you been? What has been going on?
How do you end up here?"
Right, it's very vague and very shady, and she's just like, I've done some things, and I just don't want to talk about it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then you find out that she's actually Dryden Voss's
lieutenant,
second in command, essentially. Yeah. And you're like, what did you do?
Yeah, how did you end up there? Which again, they never explain.
Right.
They just say
they didn't go into her backstory.
Yeah, it's like Dryden Voss saved me,
and you're just like,
that's all you get.
okay, now you work for the Empire. Okay, that's cool.
Right.
But she ends up going on the mission because Dryden Voss is like, oh yeah, I'm sending you with to make sure like no funny business
Because
happens.
she vouched for Han.
Right, she's like, no, he'll did it. Okay, great, you're gonna go with. So it ends up going on this whole adventure with him, and then it's like this. She's having this internal conflict of like, oh, I really love him, but my alliance is obviously with the Empire, and this is not a good mix.
Yeah.
At all.
And she even tried mixing a couple of makeout sessions with Han.
It happened.
She's still
in
like,
Lando's cape room.
What? I was like, that's kind of kinky.
A little bit.
I'm digging it.
A little bit. Digging it. But then, skip to the end of the movie with her. That whole battle, Beckett leaves with Chewie, and Dryden Voss is like, no. You guys aren't going after my stuff. I'm going to kill you both. And so he ends up fighting both of them, but then Qi'Ra gets the best of it and ends up killing it.
Yeah.
And you're just like...
But Qi'Ra is apparently like a really good fighter. There's a moment that she knocks somebody out, and...
Yeah.
It never gets shown. It's just like, oh, I did this. And
and it's this certain kung fu style that I can't remember the name of.
I can't remember either.
But it's the title of a really bad Star Wars video game.
Really?
Yes.
Anyway.
No, but she takes out Dryden Voss, and she's telling Han like, hey, like we still like if you don't get the coaxium, we still need like money for the ship, so I'm gonna like raid this place and I'll meet you down there. Don't worry. Han leaves. She takes the ring from Dryden Voss, unlocks this like communicator thing, and here appears in this hologram this shadowy figure.
Who is it?
I was expecting Emperor Palpatine because they kept talking about how Dryden Voss is working for somebody else. It's working for somebody else.
Yeah.
So I was expecting Palpatine the entire time, and then
Darth Maul.
Last time we saw him on the big screen, he got cut in half by Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, he was falling into the void in two pieces. It was two Darth Mauls.
Two Darth Mauls were falling
into the void. And you're like, why, Obi-Wan?
If you watch Clone Wars and if you watch Rebels, you know that he's still around. He has like cybernetic legs now. And eventually, Rebels, his demise occurs, but it's just it gives us a very good time frame of where this movie is happening. It's happening in between Clone Wars and Rebels, and it's just that was the biggest like mind-blown moment for me, because I was not expecting Darth Maul to show up at all.
And also they Star Wars does this thing where they flash red on people's eyes if they're gonna turn evil or whatever. So yeah, Darth Maul busts out his lightsaber, and it flashes red in Qi'Ra's eyes.
So you're just like,
so that gives you a slight hint of what might come into the future.
Right.
Qi'Ra may become like a Sith apprentice.
If she's force sensitive, yeah.
Yeah, it could be.
I didn't even think about that. That's cool.
Yeah, you didn't think about that? Really?
She's a badass.
Yeah, because she already knows how to fight.
Yeah. That's gonna be so good.
Yeah.
I want that to happen. The conflict with her of like still has the soft spot for him is still very much there, because in that moment she could have killed both of them easy.
Yeah.
But then decided not to. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. So talking about this, there's a whole lot of setup happening for the sequel of Solo, which is gonna be
there's gotta
Dan Duet.
Duo.
Dan Duo.
No, it's called Duo.
Duo.
So Solo, a Star Wars story. Duo. A couple Star Wars stories.
A couple Star Wars stories.
I hate myself.
No,
See, we told you the bad jokes are back.
Okay, so there's a whole lot of steps.
They left the door wide open for a couple other movies.
Yeah.
And,
beginning with Qi'Ra, what's gonna happen with Qi'Ra? They mentioned a big gangster pulling off a job in Tatooine. Who could that be?
Jabba the Hutt. Like, so it left open these doors, and I hope they go explore them leading up to A New Hope.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun. It'll be fun to see what happens.
It will be fun. Yeah. So the only thing that I want to say about the plot, which would be a bad thing, it's that we already know the outcomes of all these stories, and that hurt the plot a little bit.
Yeah, it's tough making a prequel where like there are life and death situations because we already know the outcome. Yeah. So they're trying to raise the stakes that way, and it just fell flat.
Yeah, you already know that Chewie's gonna end up on the co-pilot seat. You know that they're gonna survive the Kessel Run. You know,
like that Beckett isn't gonna shoot him. You know, like Dryden Voss isn't going to kill them. You know all of these things, so it was very anticlimactic.
Yeah, it was,
which is disappointing.
Yeah, so that was a weak plot for the lone reason that we know the outcome already.
What's going to happen.
Yeah.
All right, next up we have the cast. I love this cast. The cast was great. We have Alden Ehrenreich.
Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo.
As Han Solo. And we'll go through the cast first, then we'll go back. So then we have Emilia Clarke as Qi'Ra. We have Woody Harrelson as Beckett.
Paul Bettany as Dryden Voss.
And Donald Glover as Lando.
Yes.
Who they were all phenomenal. I loved how they portrayed each character. Alden, he had such high expectations to live up to. I mean, you're trying to follow in the footsteps of Harrison Ford. Like,
iconic. And not only
Good
Harrison Ford,
luck,
it's like
man.
iconic Harrison Ford in his prime.
like just good luck. So I feel like just him, because he was great. He was fine. With
He did his job.
He did his job. But it's just the expectations were so high and so through the roof already because you're trying to emulate this character that we all know and love and we all idolize in Harrison Ford and Han Solo. And so you're trying, like, just the expectation was through the roof, and it's just like you can't live up to it.
I don't think there was a single way that he could have met up that expectation at all.
No, and I mean,
he was set up for failure from the very beginning. And
Right,
I don't want to say
didn't-
failure.
He didn't fail. He didn't exceed expectation because the expectation was so high. But Donald Glover as Lando, perfectly cast.
It was amazing. He was so smooth and suave.
He was just perfect. Emilia Clarke as Qi'Ra, she's a badass. I mean, she is the mother of dragons, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And she keeps carrying over that badassery into everything that she does. So thank you, Emilia Clarke.
Yeah.
And Woody Harrelson was like your stock Woody Harrelson character. And Paul Bettany was great. I heard a story about him, like they lost like the Dryden Voss that was supposed to like be in it. I don't remember who it was.
Oh really? And he just...
But he, like 2 weeks from like, he texted Ron Howard basically being like, hey, you up? I want to be in this movie. And Ron Howard was like, okay, I'll see what I can do. And then 2 weeks later, he was in shooting his scenes. Like, crazy.
Hey.
But he was great. He was a great villain. And I loved him in this
He
movie.
was great. Like, the way he switched tempers all the time because he was very smooth until something went wrong and he just like got ticked off and went to like a 10.
And even there were some times where something went wrong and he's like, I can't let you do that. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to kill you if you mess up again.
The nicest way to
like with a smile on his face and you're like, I don't want to get on this guy's bad side at all.
Yeah, it's like you know what happens when you don't
deliver.
There's no third chance. You're gonna have to kill you after that. Great.
Yeah, okay, great.
Great, that's settled.
Great. Continuity immersion, we know this world. There's been this is the 10th. This is the 10th movie that we're in this world.
Plus, we have Clone Wars, and we have all the other
everything that is canon about. So we know this world. So it wasn't hard to get into this world, but there were moments where I didn't feel like
it didn't show us anything new.
I wasn't transported. Into the world of Star Wars. It took a second. Like when you see the Falcon, you're like, okay, I'm settled in now. Great.
Yeah.
But it took a second.
You don't see a lot of like the iconic things. Like stormtroopers, there aren't really like that many stormtroopers.
I mean, in the very beginning.
I guess. Yeah, like there's.
I mean, you do see an Imperial Star Destroyer like during the Kessel Run, like with the blockade stuff.
Yeah.
Like you see the TIE fighters, but it's just.
It doesn't quite take you there, to be honest. It doesn't.
Yeah. It kind of fell a little flat in that.
Yeah,
aspect.
but it is the world we love. It just didn't quite get us there.
Right. So speaking of that, let's go on to soundtrack. No, I mean it's your classic Star Wars score,
which is always amazing.
Right. Thank you, John Williams. Like just.
And if you get to see this movie again and you didn't notice, notice the one moment where they used the theme for the Imperial
in Corellia.
In Corellia, when he's about to sign up. There's a little like promo video going on top of the
like,
recruitment
join the
center.
Empire.
Yeah, and the music that you hear is dee doo 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 dee doo, but it sounds so like from the hologram.
Right, it's not in the bass. It's not bass at all.
No.
It's like.
It's so funny. Just pay attention to that.
An 8-bit keyboard is playing it or something like that.
Yeah.
Just like going through this loudspeaker.
I found it hilarious. If you didn't notice, look out for it next time you see this movie.
All right, and then finally we have cinematography.
it's the same beautiful universe that we know on the screen, to be honest.
Right, it's just
it's all space.
Space, the ships, the aliens, the droids, like
Yeah,
everything is there.
Yeah. And it is beautiful to watch. Like the gravity wall, that was really
that was
cool
great.
to watch.
In the Kessel Run. The Kessel Run was cool.
Yeah, that whole. I
going
think they
through
really put a
that
lot
whole-
of effort into that whole thing.
Right, because I think like you've heard it so many times, they're like, okay, now you're gonna see it. We're gonna make sure you see it. So yeah, it was great. So yeah. So all right, so we are on the report card now. So each of us is gonna give you a score out of 10, and we'll compile it all together. So let's get going. Right. First up, we have plot. I gave it a 6.
I give it a 6 for the reason we explained before.
Just the expectations were so high. The cast, I gave it a 7.
I give it an 8.
Continuity immersion, I gave it a 7.
I give it an 8.
Soundtrack is a 10.
10. Thank you, Young Williams.
Thank you. Cinematography is a 9.
And for me, it's an 8.
So that total equals 79, which is a C. Like we both said, the expectations for this movie were just
Ridiculously
so
high.
And it just, they did a good job.
Yeah, it's an entertaining movie.
Absolutely.
To be honest, I had fun watching
it. It is a very fun movie. That's why everyone's like, how was it? And I was like, it was fun. They're like, oh, so it wasn't good? And I'm like, no, it was good. It was just fun. It's a fun Star Wars story.
Yeah, it doesn't satisfy your Star Wars nerddom.
I wanted more. I wanted more, just in depth, like how he became Han Solo, not just like, oh, here is your blaster now. Okay, thanks.
Blaster now.
Right, now I'm Han Solo. Like that's kind of the very Cliff Notes version of the movie. But it was good. It was fun. Solid C.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment down below of what you thought of the movie, what you're excited to see. It's summer movie, time coming. Yeah. Like this video, subscribe for more stuff like this, and thank you again so much for watching. And as always,